This is the Aaryan's Musings podcast, episode 1. Hey everyone, welcome back to the land of musings with me, your host, Aaryan. In the previous and my first musing with you, we initiated our quest for a purposeful and a muse-worthy life. What we faced was a leap of faith. This will be the focus of today's conversation. To begin with, why this topic? It takes me back to those days when I was a 14-year-old, when I read the story of a seagull, afraid of making her first flight. Just like us, held back by our inhibitions when we stand on the cusp of something new. How the bird eventually manages to fly is not our focus. But the point is, we do our preparations, our pondering, and our research thoroughly. Yet, when the call for action arrives, we feel shallow, out of our depth. We pull our feet back from the cliff. Not being ready for something is completely fine. I was not ready to start this podcast either. And on top of that, I decided that if I'm going to start, I'll say no to any guidebook, video, or article that might provide me with everything I need to begin. Because, in all honesty, I didn't need any of that to begin. What I needed, and what we all need to start something new, is the ability to make that leap of faith. To have faith upon ourselves. Landings are always shaky at first, but refinement comes from repetition. You cannot land without jumping, and because the first wall is the steepest, most of us fall before it. And here I quote something fresh out of my mind. Action delayed is action denied. In today's world of the internet, a school student can learn the basics of scuba diving in a few clicks on their device. It's a time in human existence where there are no limitations on the data we can access. What I notice is that in the pursuit of learning the basics, we lose sight of what is truly important. We forget that the origins of those basics itself comes from action. And action requires faith in one's abilities. What I also observed is that the inhibition to act partly stems out of the fear of being judged. First of all, no one has the time to do that. Secondly, even if they do have the time, it's actually great for you. Because at some point in life, your actions are going to be subjected to scrutiny by someone or the other. So being critiqued will help you understand what's the noise, discard it, and what's the useful stuff, and absorb it. Nobody jumps into the pool without wearing a swimsuit. My point being, we all prepare to an extent. But after that, you have to stand up and deliver. Look around you. The weather fluctuates constantly. The seasons come and go. Each night, the moon is in a new phase, and each day, the sun is in a new place. Change is action. And action, ladies and gentlemen, is growth. Having faith in the process is having faith in oneself. Let's address the elephant in the room. We act on our goals to become successful. All of us have our own meanings of success. Simply taking the plunge into the unknown won't get you there. But I assure you, you'll be on track. Because as long as you are not on a track in life, you are neither covering distance nor gaining experience. And being static is the most dangerous thing one can be for oneself. Now, I mentioned the story of a seagull in the beginning. Now, I'll narrate a piece from it. He had tried once before. He had run to the brink of the ledge, flapped his wings wildly, but the great depths below terrified him. He had stopped short, heart pounding, and backed away. Since then, he had refused to try again. His parents had scolded him, coaxed him, even threatened to leave him behind. But nothing worked. Fear held him back. Now, it had been over a day since anyone fed him. He watched hungrily as his family soared over the sea, catching fish, playing in the wind. His mother, noticing his pitiful cries, came close, just near enough for him to see the fish in her beak. Starving, he cried louder. She flew closer, the fish dangling temptingly from her mouth. Closer, closer, until she was just out of reach. Desperate, driven by hunger more than courage, he leaned forward and then he jumped. For a moment, terror seized him as the wind rushed past, but then instinct took over. His wings spread wide, and to his amazement, he was flying. Not falling, not failing, flying. The wind lifted him, and he glided over the sea, his family calling out in triumph and delight. He had done it. The fear was gone. The sea beneath him sparkled. The sky stretched endlessly. And the young seagull, once afraid, now soared with joy and pride. What a story! Wow. But here's the catch. When you have to jump, there won't always be the dangling fish and the self-consuming hunger. Yes, the incentives are there, but not as explicit and raw as the primordial sensation of hunger. Normal life, as the name suggests, is pretty normal. Last but not the least, for the umpteenth time I stood on the stage facing the audience, I could feel my heart beat. I had done this so many times, yet the feeling was present every time. So I said to myself, here's my action. Where's my growth? I shouldn't be shaking like this. And my all-knowing subconscious had the answer. Mastery. The human quest of being at its best. And now you know what's coming next. And with that, it's time for me to wrap up the musing. I hope you take something home from this. Until next time then, take care and keep musing. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.